Okay, so I'm just talking to everybody here. Daniel referred in his poster I saw to what we lovingly refer to as the wallow sound, which is so easy to do. And I'll just tell you the story behind that. So I was involved in a church plant. Daniel was too, but he was little when it started. And you know, initially it was just me playing a keyboard, leading singing. I was the whole deal, right? And then somebody started to play keyboard with me, so I played something else. We got a guitarist, we got a bass player, we got a singer, we got another singer, we got another singer, we got 10 singers, and we were all meeting in a room that had worse acoustics than this. It was a gym and no acoustic treatment, so everything went all over the place. Yeah. So we had a drummer and a percussionist and a bass player. You know, we just had the whole deal. 12 people every week, and we sounded good. But I started to hear from the congregation, like, I can't tell where the melody is. I'm not sure, you know, I hear this nice sound, but it's just this wall of sound that comes at me, and so I began to realize it's not about, sometimes when they say less is more, that really is true. And so what we have to do is learn to work together based on all that. So there are two ways to think, and one is the frequency, and the other is the rhythm, the time. Okay. By frequency, we often don't think in these terms, but record producers think this way. They think, okay, so I've got a cymbal, and there are different size cymbals, right? There are ride cymbals and crash cymbals, and there's a China cymbal, and they're all different pitches, but they're all kind of high pitches, right? So there's probably a range of a couple octaves there, but nonetheless, they're all high pitches, okay? Now, where is a kick drum in the spectrum? So, okay, pretty low, all right? Not as low as you might think, but it's pretty low, all right? And where's the snare? Yeah, got a bit of pitch to it, right? So it's higher than you would think, because it's not just the drum. Most of what you're hearing is the snare, which is almost where an S sound is, 10,000 hertz. So you hear it, right? Okay, so it's sort of this pack of things. And then the toms are like 3 different pitches, maybe. Okay, so the drums themselves are very specific pitches, and you don't change that pitch, right? The kick drum's always where it is. The toms are always where they are. The cymbals, you can hit them in different places, but for the most part, the pitches are where they are. So you can't say, now we're playing in the key of G, go up half step, you know, with the drums. Like, you can tune a drum, but you can't tune it that well, right? So that's kind of a set thing. All you can do with the drums is be aware of where those different pitches are and when they occur, all right? So when we're thinking about those pitches, let's just say that the drummer's playing a basic, we'll say it's 4 on the floor. You know that? The 4 on the floor house beat, all right? You know what that means. Okay, it means the kick drum's doing, okay, and probably the hi-hat's doing, okay, and the snare's on 2 and 4, right? But maybe a little off of that. Okay, so where are the pitches at those different times? Right? And where the cymbal is every 8th note. I can't do it. Some people can do that. I can't do it. So you've got low, high, middle, high. If you're following on the 16th notes, low, high, middle, high, low, high, middle, high, low, high, middle, high. And that's sort of a beat of a house beat. There's more than one at different times. Okay, so we are aware of that. Okay, guitar. Where does a guitar sound compared to middle C? Yeah. Okay, so what the open strings are where? The highest pitch of an open string on a guitar.
E above middle C.
Oh, open. E.
Yeah.
Open E.
It is, yeah, the open E. That E is the E above middle C, which is a little surprising because it sounds, it orally sounds like it's higher than that. but that's actually where the pitch is, and that's because it's a small instrument, so it gives the impression because there's not a lot of bass behind it. But that's where it actually is. So most of the range of a guitar is kind of the range of a male singer. If I'm right around there, I'm right in the range of where a guitar is. If I'm right there, all of that is where a guitar is, okay? So a guitarist's got to really be careful because the male voice is going to be right where the guitar is, pitch-wise. Now, if you have two guitars, you've got two instruments, okay? Now you've got to be aware of where they happen rhythm-wise, this way, so that they don't cover up the voice. So if I'm singing, build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear, I'm doing a lot of consonants on the beats with that song. Build your kingdom. And if my guitars, if both the guitars are playing at that same time, and the kick is playing 4 on 4, build your kingdom here. You see what's happening? We're filling up the spectrum on the beat, and people can't hear the consonants. So if we were doing a song like that, and we were having strong beats, the guitarist would want to find some way of being off of that. Because the eighth note in between is where there isn't all of that busyness. You follow what I'm saying? So, build your kingdom here, let the darkness. Now, I'm not in the way of the consonants, I'm in the way of the longer. Okay, if on the other hand I'm singing, I'm trying to think of a song that is off the beat all the time. Blessed be your name, that one is. It's almost all off the beat. You wouldn't want to use that kind of a rhythm with a guitar because it's right where the voice is. So you'd want to be more on the beat. Blessed be your name. You follow what I'm sort of emphasizing the beats there, okay? Now, where's the bass going to be playing?
All of
The bass is always going to be playing, almost always in
With the
step
kick.
with where the kick is, because that's the low pitch. So you guys are always aware of each other, and you're doing whatever the rhythm is. If it's some sort of, anyway, you just locked into each other, and that becomes the thing that we're working from. What of the drums, what does the rhythm guitar play? Hi-hat. You hear how the sound of the pick is about the same pitch as the hi-hat. So if the hi-hat's going tick 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 tick, like that's the kind of rhythm that you want to be playing. You want to be aware of that because the drummer's in charge of everything, rhythm-wise. The drummer, with his body, is aware of all those different things and how they interact, right? And he's not just going boom, boom, boom with everything. He's doing all those different things. So you're just sort of locked in. You're locked into that pitch and that rhythm. So we're reinforcing the kick drum. We're reinforcing the hi-hat. Yeah. All right. So what's the keyboard do?
anything. It's all fill. Anything in a different pitch.
Now, this is hurtful to me because, when I started that church, it was all just me, right? I could sing and I could play and that was everything. But it was the bass line, it was the middle, it was the chords, it was the melody. Now I've got a lead guitar, I've got a rhythm guitar, I've got a bass, I've got drums, and everything is provided. And so I'm just trying to find a hole someplace. Okay. Now, most lead guitarists can find a hole. They're like a good, running back. If there isn't a hole, they'll make a hole. Like, I hear it. There was a little space right there. Right, but you really have to be careful, especially with guitar, because a guitar with crunch or any kind of dirt to the sound is just fills up everything. Like what on the frequency spectrum, where is that? it's noise. Noise is sort of by definition, it's every frequency, right? Pink noise, white noise. So when you've got that added to a guitar, what you're doing is just filling the room with that noise. So you really got to be careful. The crunchier the sound, you've got to be very aware of where your volume is. Because if everybody plays all the time, they're all happy, but what we're getting is the entire spectrum and the entire rhythm. Okay. Now, voices, when do they sing? There are two answers. One is, of course, you're singing in parts and usually parallel, and you're singing at the same time as each other, so as to reinforce the words that are being sung, right? But sometimes you're singing at the other times, right? It's like Gladys Knight and the Pips. I'm not always singing together with Gladys Knight. Did I just date myself? Perhaps I did. So their job is to sort of provide the smooth background, or the rhythm in the background while the voice, but they don't want to fight against where the voice is. So if you listen to it carefully, their rhythm is not where the lead voice is. You see what I'm doing right here? So the lead voice holds out a long note. That's when they sing. That's when they become active. And then the lead voice, they get out of the way for the lead voice. It's sort of like trumpet stabs, or the brass filling. It's while the long note is happening. You wait for that, and then you fill in. Same thing with the lead guitar. You don't want to have a lead guitar and the background vocals both getting busy, so you have to take turns, right? Within all that. Okay, so the end result is that the whole spectrum is being used, but not by any more than one instrument at a time. And this is especially something I teach keyboardists. Like, you got to know where the guitar is, where the lead guitar is, where the cymbals are, where the bass is, and then that's pretty much everything. And so, like, it's the temptation, because you got 10 fingers and 88 keys. Yeah. By the way, I made the mistake of saying that to a guy who had 9 fingers once. And like, you got 10 fingers, so well, I shouldn't have paused, because now it's really awkward for everybody. Anyway, that was a terrible moment for me. So you just have to be aware of where the holes are and where you're duplicating what somebody else is doing. And most of the time you're not needed. Lead guitar and keyboard are the two instruments that are the loneliest in the group, because they don't need you all the time. You just have to hold back and wait until there's an opening. How's that?
Which, ironically, those two instruments are the ones that are usually the hooks, like the
Yes.
thing you remember about the song.
Yeah.
What that thing, like that electric lead, or
Yeah.
the beginning of Forever Rain has that ba-dee-da, ba-ba on the keys. That's what I think of when I think of that song.
Or everybody knows he is jealous for me. How he loves.
Oh yeah, that little count.
Like that's the sound of that song. You play it, everybody knows what that is. So yeah, quite often you have the hook, but don't try to be everything else. Do you have any questions?
I know sometimes on the guitar, we try to play like a higher on the neck to stay outside of the range of somebody on, let's say, the
Exactly.
keyboard,
Right.
or
Yeah.
even the electric, the acoustic. I sometimes will go a little different than some, if they're playing in the lower end, I'll play at the higher end, or vice versa. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
try to stay off of each other's
Yeah.
areas, even though we may be playing the same thing sometimes. We try to at least stay at least different frequencies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really good. That's a good. You can talk in terms of inversion, but if you're thinking frequency, that's really what we're saying: is get out of each other's way, and then be aware of how your rhythms work together as well. And there's room for two guitars, almost always, but not two guitars playing the same thing. There's no need for that. It just becomes a sloppy guitar. In effect. Yeah. Good. When you were saying that, it made me think of something else too. two
Well,
guitars.
He'll play high on the neck.
Yeah, we'll play at different areas of the neck of the guitar. You know, if there's maybe similar parts, or you know, even if the piano, sometimes the piano might be in one scale or area. I'll try to play
that
outside
was
of
what
that.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
because you mentioned the piano. Like, so you've got three instruments that are all capable of being in the same range. It's not fair to have one win all the time, right? Well, I'm the acoustic guitar, so I just flail away all the time. But you know, we got to function like a jazz group, and the jazz group, you look at each other and go, "Your turn." But, you know, I had my fun. It's your turn. Now I'm going to play back, and you take the lead, and then you know we'll trade again. And so this is a part of us learning to work as a team, is to not always play the same role, but to take turns.
Yeah.
How does all that? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that really increases the musicality if you can think like that.
Yeah. And again, less is more. So one song doesn't have to have an instrument play all the way through all the time. You know, we got an instrument on the verse, do something different on the chorus. You sort of owe it to people to give them a break with their ear.
That was kind of my question too. I know that in this, something we've been working on too, like the volume. I mean, you can really knock it out on the piano, or you can play very soft. And I assume that's true for other instruments as well. But trying to work all that into the spectrum sometimes is interesting too.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate about what you're talking about is I always thought of dynamics in sense of volume as opposed to separation of frequency.
Yeah.
This is a revelation to me.
Yeah.
Because dynamics really makes it powerful.
Yeah.
And the separation, everybody can hear everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not stepping on each other.
Right.
And I know we do that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, unless you talk about it
Right.
and are aware
and
to think
aware.
about it, then you do, because you're
It's not
doing your
just
part.
volume.
And yeah.
A lot of times you think you're too loud. Oh no.
You know, I grew up listening to
stepping
bluegrass music, and that's what Daniel was talking about. But if you ever listen to that, you'll hear various instruments. They all take their turns at various times through the song.
Right.
You'll hear the mandolin, you'll hear the guitar, you'll hear the banjo, you know, different parts. And they all kind of like, they know when they're coming in, and they just kind of come in, and the other fades out, and the other one comes in, they fade out. They just kind of go around, even though the song is still going on. So it's kind of unusual how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might actually have one mic on the stage and actually take a step up for the solo, and then
Sometimes they do that.
And then they're comping the rest of the time.
Yeah. And when they comp, it's real similar to the four on the floor thing that I was talking about. Like, you got no break bass, boom, boom. But it's on the beat, bop, 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 bop,
Yeah.
maybe the banjo or something like that. They're playing the offbeats, and that provides like this rhythmic basis of game, 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 game. And now you can lead all through the middle of that in a very busy way without it getting in the way of
Right.
things. Yeah, bluegrass is amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good reading.
Awesome.